Now to proceed with our third unit only two parts are there. One is like very factual areas where there is antiquity, there is language, how Kannada evolved as a subject, I mean as a language, and how its script developed. And then there is going to be gazetteer work, museums and archives antalla kotirtare. So I don't know if there can be a question, what kind of question barutte anta we still have not really understood. Okay, so that we are going to see very much necessary areas in today's class. Okay, so today what we are going to see is how Kannada evolved as a language and what are the sources that tells that this is how Kannada started at this point of time anta. Okay, so that is what we are going to see, and the sources. Okay, so inscriptions, literary source, coinage, and then foreign travelers accounts, all these we are going to see. And then the other part of the story is your gazetteer, museums, all that is there, which are very factual, which I didn't want to discuss in the class, but it's in the handout. Okay, so all that is needed for the first, part of the chapter is clearly given in the handouts. But other than that, we are also going to discuss our Hampi and Pattadakal today. Okay, so whatever is there, those archives part, museums part, very factual parts are clearly mentioned in the handout. Do not worry about it. Got it? Yes. So today we'll finish off this evolution part. Tomorrow we are going to start off with our actual Karnataka ancient history. That is Kadambas to Hoysalas. From there we start. Okay. So again, in this chapter also, we are not going to deal with the political history of Kadambas to Hoysalas. Okay. So here we are primarily going to quickly run through the architecture part and the important kings and important battles, if any, and then quickly talk about their culture, art and culture part only. Okay, because if there's a question, could be that is what we feel. Okay, always they have been demanding about either the socio-religious setup or their architecture. Has been the interest of the question papers. So that we are going to focus on those areas only. And again, when it comes to Karnataka history, where do you study Karnataka history for prelims? Yes, right? So clearly you will study a lot more detailed information for prelims. Okay, so that we are not going to deal with exclusively the kings who came, who got what title, who is the famous of this. We're not going to deal with those aspects. Political aspects you will purely do it in the prelims Karnataka history part. Okay, but here all that we are going to quickly do is Kadambas Ali, if one king is very important, who is important and what are his contributions is what we are going to see quickly. Okay, so for this I want you guys to go back today. In the handout I have given brief history of Karnataka, timeline kottidini from our Kadambas to Hoysalas. Okay, so crisply read through everything and come back for tomorrow's class. That is when you will understand who is part of which particular kingdom anta. Got it? Yes. So proceeding with the Karnataka's antiquity. What do I mean when I say antiquity? How old it is. Okay, now when I say antiquity, what do we mean when I say antique piece idu anta heltivalla? What does it mean? It means that it is our, very old and little heritage oriented event or concept. Okay, so when I say Karnataka's antiquity, we are going to talk about where did we begin as Kannadigas. Okay, so that's what we are going to see. The pride of our land we are going to begin with. Okay, so earliest reference, see these are facts and you certainly will have to write down. Okay, na? Yes. So earliest reference to Karnataka is in Panini's work, where he refers Karnataka as the Gotra of a people. The term Karnataka is used by Panini as a Gotra of people. What is Gotra? So people belonging to one Gotra means they derive their lineage from one particular ancestor anta. Okay, ivaga how we have discussed in our Vedic religion madbekare discuss madidvi to the newcomers. The Gotra is nothing but ivaga we all have even today we have yav Gotra we belong to. So it's primarily what we have now is a corrupt form of Gotra, but otherwise original form hegittu andre there used to be important gods. Okay, our kelage there used to be important sages. So actually, Gotra is nothing but a cow pen. It literally means that where we derive our ancestry from anta. Okay, so yarinda nama purvigana ನಾವು derive ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋದೇ our gotra is nothing but. Okay, so Panini utilizes this term Karnataka for gotra of a people. So now Karnataka means a people belonging to one particular section is this anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ our Panini. Okay, yeah. So Karnataka as a territory. Now what do I mean when I say territory? A place. Okay, so geographical destination ಬಗ್ಗೆ we firstly get to know from Mahabharata. Okay, so where again Mahabharata we have various editions. So one edition is Kumbakonam edition, which talks about Karnataka as a place. Okay, and then in Pune edition we hear of the word Kuntala or Kuntala. Okay, or it also is mentioned the term Unnatyaka to refer Karnataka. So, what is the meaning of the word Karnataka? The present Karnataka's meaning? Karunadu, land of black soil. Then?
Also, Karun means cow. An elevated land.
An elevated land is another, thing. That is, we are a tableland, right? So, that's why it's also called as Karnataka. That means an elevated land. Okay, so Unnatyaka means elevated land. The present day meaning is very much derived from this term anta heltare. Okay, so this is the Pune edition of Mahabharata. Then our old Sanskrit texts such as Markandeya Purana, Brihad Samhita of Varahamihira, Karnataka finds its mention. So we know, right, our Brihad Samhita of Varahamihira and all BC works, alva. So in those works we find mention of the term Karnataka. So which means we have been in existence from a very long time. Okay, we derive our origin or say our ancestry like say some 3,000, 4,000 years ago. Got it? Then ancient Tamil works also have mentioned that people of this land as Karunadars or Karunatakars. Karunadars or Karunatakars anta ancient Tamil texts alli we find a mention. And a Chalukyan queen called Vijayanagara, she will be a Sanskrit poetess. Okay, she calls herself as Karnataka Rajapriya. Karnataka Rajapriya. That means she is the privileged, or say she is the praised of Karnataka land anta. Okay, Karnataka Rajapriya, the lover of land. That means what? Chalukyans did exist in Karnataka Nadike. One classic proof this is. Okay. Then army of Chalukyas of Vatapi or Badami was called as Karnata Bhala in the inscriptions of Rashtrakutas. Just keywords gnapka itkolli. If you have to write about how Karnataka derives its origin, or see, actually it's like the pride of Kannada and Karnataka anta helbodu, right or not? Like we know about Karnataka as a land from these many sources. Okay, so as civil service aspirants, these things should be known by heart, right? It clearly shows that wherever you want to just portray your state as a state of like very rich cultural heritage, you can write these points very quickly. And also our origin is as ancient as anybody else's origin. Okay, so we cannot become prey for any kind of attacks. Okay, so we have our origin proofs. Origin, we are very proud about our origin, but then we need proofs for our origin. So these are the proofs for our origin. Got it? Yes. Moving ahead, antiquity of Kannada language. So now we discussed about our land, antiquity of Kannada land. Now we are going to discuss about the antiquity of Kannada language. So now before we proceed, what is the difference between language and a script? So language is oral form of communication. Okay, languages, all the languages need not necessarily have a script. Alva, if you see Tulu or Kodavatak, they all use Kannada only, right? They don't use their own literature or their own script is not there. Okay, so they derive Kannada as their script. Okay, but then the language being spoken will be will be their own language, okay, but the script they use is Kannada. So now how we use our English for, sending Kannada messages, it's very much like that. The language is Kannada, but script is English. Hegidiya? We type in English, so that is in end of everything, we put no. So they are like, language. What's being communicated through the written form, no, that is language. Okay, that can vary. The script is nothing but the written form. The written form needs certain rules to be followed. Okay, now every language has its own rules. So every script has its own rules. So to develop a script for each one of the languages is very, very difficult. So what we generally do, like the entire humankind, what we have done is, we have tried to derive support from neighbor scripts. Like say our Konkanis and all the other people, brethren of coastal and deep interiors and all, know what they do? They derive proper Kannada script to write their local languages. Okay, so like that, all across the world, they have derived the strong neighbor script to express their language. You get it? Yes. So do you understand the difference between language and script now? Yes. So moving ahead. Kannada, one of the 20 languages of the Dravidian group. So in classification of the races in our sociology, I believe. Okay, section 2 only you will talk about, no, in geography you have human races, races of the world and of India. Anta. So only Robert Sewell will give you a lot of classifications of Indian races. Adarali one of the races, our Dravidian race. Okay, so again, our language is also classified based on the races. Okay, so of them, Kannada is one of the Dravidian languages anta heltidare. Okay, and then one of the oldest Dravidian languages is what they say here. But how do we believe it? We believe it through this. Okay, in Ashokan inscriptions, we find the term called Isila, Isila, Isila. So you get this? Isila anta one pada ittu. So that is nothing but to throw an arrow. It is actually deciphered by our Professor D.L. Narasimhachar. These terms, these names become little important. You have to remember. Okay. Our D.L. Narasimhachar says that Isila found in Ashokan inscriptions is nothing but to throw an arrow. Thus, Kannada was spoken language during the 3rd century BC itself. Anta heltare. Ashokan inscriptions definitely 3rd, 4th century, right? So, if the term Isila is found in Ashokan inscriptions, it means that Kannada existed at 3rd century BC itself. It is there, different, and Hoysala adu terminology derive ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, Poisala, so kill Sala, okay. That's there. But again, here, this person deciphers it like this. Then, the geography written by Ptolemy, a scholar from Alexandria, also speaks about a lot of places in Karnataka. Okay, Ptolemy's the geography. Okay, Ptolemy is a very great voyager who comes to India. Okay, so this person from Alexandria visited India and he has given his geographical description of the land that he passed by. Okay, so in that there is mention of Karnataka. He speaks of places such as Kalkeri, our present Kalkeri. Okay, Vijayapura. Then Mudugol, Raichur, then Badamios. He calls Bagalkote as that. Okay, so all of these are not only places in Karnataka but also derive their name from Kannada language. Okay, so mains class is all about syllabus focus. So Karnataka history component will be done in our prelims Karnataka history classes. Okay, so for that only I have given you the structure. I repeat the same thing again. Please read through for you to understand chapter 4, 5 and 6. Got it? So 3rd onwards, we are going to deal with Karnataka history exclusive. So that structure is important. Okay, our ancient Karnataka is from Kadambas to Hoysalas. So which king was there? Where did he exist? What was his royal, what was his capital city? Which were his capital cities and his royal emblem? And if he fought any of the prominent Indian rulers and got any titles. Okay, and from there, we are going to discuss about the contributions. So Kadambas in the till our Rashtrakutas, Hoysalas, we of Dwarasamudra ange agate. Okay, so 1000 AD around we come to. And then from there onwards, what happens? Muslim inroads. Okay, we will see a lot of Mughals and our Delhi Sultanates also partially, Mughals largely. And from Mughals, what happened? We see our Vijayanagara Empire coming into the picture. So Vijayanagara and Bahmani Sultans is our medieval Karnataka. Right? Medieval India, we see Delhi Sultanates and Mughals alva, but in Karnataka, it is our Vijayanagara and Bahmani Sultans is what we are going to see primarily. Okay. So now you have to understand that all India level, there is going to be Mughal king, but parallelly, we are going to see Vijayanagara and Bahmani Sultans. That you should be able to understand. Okay. We are a small principality or a small princely state under a huge king, sovereign, right? So that way, that's how our polity is evolving, right? So now, Vijayanagar and Bahmani Admele, what happens? We try to have, or say after the failure of our Bahmani Sultans, what happens? You see different sections. Okay, so princely states, Matte Wadayars will come into the picture again. Okay, so with Wadayars, what happened? You see a different style of dominion status enjoyed by our Mysore state. Okay, so they, or we cannot say it as dominion status, we are like a princely state under the sovereign of British anta helbodu. So from there to how we attain independence is what our Karnataka history is all about. Okay, so crisply given it, just go back and read through what we've given in the handouts. Got it? Yes. So moving ahead. Evolution of Kannada. These are very, very important. I want you guys to write this down. Firstly, our Thalagunda, wait, pause. Thalagunda pillar inscription of Kakutsa Varman is about our, it's in our classical Sanskrit language. Okay, I mean script. Okay, but it is Kannada script. What do I mean? Sorry, it's language and script. What does it mean? Same like our messages. So the language of speaking is Sanskrit here, but the script used is Kannada. Therefore, in some of the places, you will not find Thalagunda inscription as your oldest evidence for Kannada script or Kannada language. Kannada script, yes, but not for Kannada language. Okay, while you will find Halmidi inscription. Okay, now I want you all to pay very clear attention towards the language or the script anta in the question. In prelims, if there is a question, okay, definitely they would not pay that much attention. Ashtella yoshne madalla KPSC avaru. But then if there is such, distinction clearly being told, language and script anta, so script would be Thalagunda inscription, oldest. Language anta bandaga Halmidi inscription. Did you clearly understand this? Thalagunda inscription of Kakutsa Varman is Sanskrit language, but writing is in Kannada. Whereas Halmidi inscription, Kannada script and Kannada language altogether. Got it? Yes. So please be very sure about what the question is demanding in prelims. Aita? Yes? Kakutsa Varma. Kakutsa Varma admele. See again, 455 to 470. Our Kakutsa Varma ends in 463 sometime. And then immediately it comes Shanti Varma. Okay. So it's a huge inscription, Allah. So might be he continued anta. Okay. And most of the inscriptions are like that only. His successors would have continued. Okay. Shanti Varma, Kakutsa Varma. It began Thalagunda pillar inscription starting Shuru Madiddu Kakutsa Varmane. Okay, and after him only Shanti Varma continues it. So classical Sanskrit language and Kannada script. Next comes our Halmidi inscription, oldest known Kannada language inscription of Kadambas. So 450 to 500 CE, Kadambas. Oldest people, our oldest dynasty is Kadambas of Banavasi, Alva. Then comes Badami records of Mangalesha, again another Kadamban king, okay, dated around 578 AD is in Kannada. Time period is very important. Thalagunda inscription 455 to 470, Halmidi inscription 450 to 500, okay, and then comes our Kappe Arabhatta's recorded Badami, 700 AD, as the first Kannada poem in Tripadi meter. What is Tripadi? Poem of 3 lines. Okay, and there are rules. It's not just that. There are rules which we are not going to get into the details. Just that remember, Tripadi meter is nothing but composition of poems in triplets. And then oldest available literary work in Kannada is our Kaviraja Marga. Very famous work. Kaviraja Marga by whom? Any idea? Amogavarsha. Amogavarsha with his court poet Sri Vijaya. Okay. So, time period endar gottidya? Amogavarsha? Good, very good. So around 9th century, mid-9th century anta helbodu. So that's when Rashtrakutas are into the picture. He's a Rashtrakutan king alla, Amogvarsha the first. So around mid-9th century AD, this work is developed. Do you see the evolution time period? As we go ahead, we are going further, okay? So these are few of the works that I have mentioned in the class. Other than these are also there in your handout. So I thought this would be sufficient for you to have a base anta. So whatever is given in the handout is value addition. You try to remember as much as possible. And again, I am not focusing more on medieval and our modern Karnataka part in this areas. Okay, so this, if we are starting at 455, we can touch till 1800s, okay, but I'm not doing that because it's a very voluminous task, and I want you to focus on prominent things for now. First level of studies is just focus on most important things. Next levels will add on whatever is subsidiarily available also in the source. Got it? Yes.